Yeah, everyone's a rookie when they come into the NHL. That applies to players, that applies to assistant coaches, absolutely applies to head coaches. For a while, and not for a long while. Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates, the same place that you found this. Ducks 4, Penguins 3 last night in Anaheim, California. And in lieu of offering, anything remotely resembling hockey analysis, I'll instead share this. The visitors had a 24-14 edge in shots when the teams were 5-on-5. The visitors had a 15-7 edge in high danger scoring chances at 5-on-5. The home team wound up with 6 of the 7 power plays, and the one power play that the Penguins got didn't come from the refs, but it came from the NHL because Joel Quenneville failed on a replay challenge. So the referees who were on the ice called everything absolutely one way when at 5-on-5 at even strength, the team getting hit with all the penalties was the one that had the play. That's rare air, my friends. You can watch a lot of hockey, and I've been involved in the sport in varying ways my entire life and not see one of those. Taylor Haas, our beat writer at DK Pittsburgh Sports, is out there in Anaheim, of course. Let's start with this. Parker Wotherspoon took full responsibility, and I don't mean to suggest that he wasn't responsible. He had a perfectly flat puck in front of him, no real pressure, and he flipped it up over the glass to hand Anaheim the last power play. Chris Kreider, of course, who else, converted to win the game. Wotherspoon was pretty tough on himself afterward.
It was just a dumb play. Just trying to make the right choice and just get it off the glass. Obviously, super unfortunate, but I can't be doing that late in the game, so it's dumb.
But that doesn't alter the overall dynamic of the way this game was called. Taylor talked to Sidney Crosby one-on-one about this.
Do you feel like penalties played a role in this night when power plays are 6-1?
Yeah, I thought we deserved a couple and probably didn't deserve a couple we got. So, that happens sometimes and you got to find ways to kill them.
Do you feel like you're the better team at 5-on-5?
Yeah, I thought we did enough to win. I thought we had some good looks and, good start. I thought we came on good second there late and then kind of carried that over in the third. So, we did a lot of good things. It's unfortunate.
Now, here's where I want to take this. Because Dan Muse was obviously asked about this. And Muse now has had 2 games in a row where the referees have stuck it to him. And I think when I say that, I'm referring specifically to him because he is the new guy and he's not going to have the license to yell at you that, say, a Joel Quenneville would over on the other bench. And Quenneville, by the way, did have his barking episodes with those guys. But then came this from Muse after the game when, just listen, this is Taylor asking him another question, after he really had very little to say about the other guys having more power plays.
Were you surprised at how the game was called? Some of the early power plays that were maybe up for interpretation? Were you surprised at any of that?
Right now, I'll make the statement. I'm not going to comment on not just now or throughout the year on the officials or anything like that. It's a road I'm not going to go down.
Wait a second. Never? He's never going to talk about the officials? He's just going to grin and bear it as it relates to the refs? How? How can you do that? Never mind how can you do it in one game. Never mind how can you commit to, not doing that for his rookie season or whatever. That's not what he did. He basically said this is going to be his policy across the board. Now, I can tell you that in covering this team at DK Pittsburgh Sports, we're going to continue asking questions no matter what it is that he says about his own policy here, because coaches tend to answer questions like this. I'm not crazy about this. I welcome the day when this changes, because you have to have some fight. In that role, you have to have some scrappiness about you. You have to let people know, sometimes including in the public, that it's not okay to go ahead and stick it to me or to my team the way that you did tonight. And by the way that you did on Saturday as well. Not that it was the same crews. I'm being figurative here. And I don't want to go overboard here because, again, the Penguins did do things that didn't exactly align with winning. Notably the Wotherspoon thing, but also, if you're going to get penalized like that, and some of them were legit, kill those. As it was, Anaheim converted 2 out of 6 and looked dangerous throughout, excessively dangerous. But if Muse thinks that he's going to curry some favor with refs by being passive or by never bringing them up in public, that's not been the way I've seen, heard, and covered the NHL carrying itself for a long, long time. The refs will find the squeakiest wheel and cater to that wheel. And if they think you can be pushed around, especially in a setting like a home opener, like what the Ducks had last night, yeah, your team's in some deep doo-doo. Not to mention, I don't want to get ahead of myself here. This was Game 4. But your team's going to lose respect for you in a raging hurry if they don't think you're fighting for them. When we come back, J1Q. Today's J1Q comes from David, who says, DK, I realize that the Penguins are trying to get looks at different guys, but I really don't think a 19-year-old player needs a rest after 3 games. He's actually one of the Penguins' best players, and he might be their best defenseman, and he needs a good long look. Matt Dumba and Connor Clifton are known quantities. Owen Pickering is better than either of them and actually has upside. Okay, you didn't mention Harrison Brunick by name, but that's who you're talking about, David. Brunick was a healthy scratch last night, not on merit, as Dan Muse made very clear before the game, and I thought this was commendable on his part. He laid out that the scratch was only part of a longer-term load management, as it's become known in the NBA, aimed specifically at a rookie. And I'm going to remind that I've brought this up in the past month or so in advocating for both Brunick and Ben Kindle to stay here in Pittsburgh rather than to get sent back to their junior teams. And one of the ways that I suggested that could happen would be to limiting them to around 60 games. That way you don't overdo it with them in terms of testing their stamina, their ability to stay strong against the rigors of being in the NHL. And if you want to roll your eyes at that, David, you can. I wouldn't think of it as much as the way you put it, which was he doesn't need a rest after 3 games. Of course he doesn't. That's not what it's about. I'm sure there was all kinds of work put in here by Kyle Dubas and his staff to try to figure out, okay, if they spread them out like this, this, and this, then it's going to be not all that different than the kind of schedule they would have had, maybe with a step up, if they'd been in the juniors or even if they'd been in the American League. I'll take it. I'm going to keep repeating what I said over that month, which is they need to be here, and they need to be here more because of them than because of the team. Some of you will recall me saying that. So this absolutely isn't about comparing who's their best defenseman or whether or not, as you put it, he's better than Dumba or Clifton or whether Pickering is better than any of those guys. For the record, I thought Clifton really acquitted himself quite well. This is a guy who's capable of knocking people on their rear ends, and he knocked people on their rear ends. My feeling is this team could use more of that, not less. And Clifton, by the way, was one of the Penguins' more effective defensemen at even strength. Not nearly, or not anywhere near as much when it came to the PK, but that's something. He'll be back in there against the Kings tomorrow night in Los Angeles, meaning Brunick. maybe Kindle will be out. I want them in Pittsburgh, and I want them in Pittsburgh all season. I hope they pick their spots well, but they need to be here. They're just too important, both of them. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. We'll be back with another one of these tomorrow.